So as you are demonstrating your ability to communicate clearly, that is going to eliminate some of the confusion, which is also going to eliminate the levels of conflict, because clarity means everything. What's going on, aspiring school leader? I am Dr. Donovan Smalls II, and welcome to Beyond the Classroom. I help aspiring school leaders land their first leadership role, navigate complex dynamics, enhance communication skills, and drive instructional excellence. I know you're enjoying this episode, but I wanted to let you know about my latest book, Beyond the Classroom, helping aspiring school leaders navigate interpersonal and organizational complexities for greater instructional impact. Now, this book is going to help you navigate the learning curve as you transition from being a classroom teacher to a school leader, manage your busy schedule and reclaim your time to effectively be an instructional leader, take a holistic approach towards school leadership, and increase your instructional impact by fostering a school culture of feedback and coaching. So if you are an aspiring school leader looking to be an effective practitioner, head over to my website and grab your copy today. Today's topic is the leadership pipeline, what leaders seek in aspiring teacher leaders. Now, what really sparked this topic was this whole idea of being a teacher leader. And some school districts have specific positions as it relates to being a teacher leader, meaning your grade level might be split into 3 different sections. And you might have a team leader or a teacher leader who is responsible for leading a particular team. So for example, if you are a 6th grade teacher, your grade level might be split into 3 different teams. Like, let's say team A, team B, and team C. And there would be a teacher who is responsible for leading each team. And they have taken on the responsibility of not only leading the students in their particular classroom, but also the teachers on their team and the students on their team. And when I start to think about being an aspiring school leader, if your school has this type of setup, and even if they don't, I think there are some critical keys as it relates to being a teacher leader or a team leader that can significantly help you stand out during your interview process. So even if your school does not have this particular setup, I think that these are things you need to be thinking about as you are trying to transition to become a school leader. Because when you go through that interview process, the interview committee wants to know, they want to hear that you are able to lead adults, that you are able to lead beyond your classroom. And so as we get into our 5 keys that school leaders look for in aspiring teacher leaders or team leaders, I want you to think about these different keys, not just specific to districts who have this type of setup, but I want you to look at them as skills that will definitely enhance your ability to lead beyond the classroom. So our first key that school leaders look for in aspiring teacher leaders, it's number 1, demonstrated leadership in your current role. I can't say this enough. When you go into your interview, people want to know, the interview committee wants to know, the community wants to know what you have done in your current role that separates you from everybody else, not just what you have done in the classroom. So any opportunity that you get to be able to lead beyond your classroom, to be able to lead adults, is going to be necessary for you to land your first role, because it demonstrates your ability to have a different type of conversation. It's one thing to be able to lead students, but there's another complex dynamic when it comes to leading adults. Let's say that you are somebody like me. When I stepped into my first leadership role, I'm younger, significantly younger than some of the individuals who you are leading. That brings a different level of complexity as it relates to how you have a conversation with people. Because nobody wants to hear you trying to operate and lead in your authority all the time. You must figure out ways to lead without authority and start to lead with influence. And how you lead with influence is by developing your levels of credibility. It's by allowing people to see that when you say or make a commitment to doing something, you will actually do it and follow through. And I'm not talking about anything disciplinary. I'm talking about when a teacher calls you and asks you if you can visit their classroom throughout the week because they might be having some issues with a particular student. Are you actually going to stay committed to what it is that you promised? That's a level that's a way that you actually are going to gain some sort of credibility and trustworthiness with the people that you lead. Are you going to look at the feedback that you have given a teacher, but not only just give the feedback, but provide equal levels of support so that they can improve and that you can collectively drive instruction to the next level? That's a way to enhance your levels of credibility. So when we talk about demonstrated leadership in your current role, have you led some sort of PLC? Have you led a professional development session? What are you doing outside of the classroom that's going to allow you to demonstrate your leadership skills? Have you volunteered to organize a school-wide event? Are you mentoring a new teacher so that they can become acclimated to the building, so that they can understand what your school culture is like? Are you demonstrating that you are committed to the professional growth of other people, even if you are not in a formal leadership role yet? Have you demonstrated that? And so if your district has the setup of a teacher leader or a team leader, these are some of the qualities that the school leaders are going to be looking for when it comes to the hiring process of their team leader. And even if your school does not have this specific setup, you need to be thinking about how you can gain these experiences because they are definitely going to help you during your interview process. Number 2, our second key school leaders look for in aspiring teacher leaders: strong communication skills. When we talk about strong communication skills, I think it's always important to over communicate and not under communicate. So if you have had some sort of in-person or face-to-face conversation with somebody, sometimes you might have to follow that up with an email to then provide further clarity, or to just provide that extra level of communication so that you and the other person are on the same page. Because the last thing you want is to have some sort of miscommunication to where you're not on the same page, and then we have drops in our instructional practices. So over communicate as opposed to under communicate. Even if you have scheduled something on your calendar with another individual because you are going to meet with them, I suggest that you send a follow-up email saying, I hope that you had a great day. As per our conversation, as you see in the calendar, we have a meeting that is scheduled for this particular date. I just wanted to remind you, I'm looking forward to our conversation. Have a great weekend, right? Like, these are the follow-up situations, follow-up conversations that you need to start having and document them, because they are definitely going to help you out when you become a school leader. Your communication skills are everything. The last thing you want is to not be clear. The last thing you want is for people to not understand what you're saying because you failed to follow up when you were supposed to, right? And so communication is everything. Another thing that is extremely important when it comes to strong communication skills is that it's going to help you better manage conflict. So as you are demonstrating your ability to communicate clearly, that is going to eliminate some of the confusion, which is also going to eliminate the levels of conflict, because clarity means everything. People interpret things differently based on the way that they experience it, based on the way that they receive it. And so you have to make sure that what you say is what you actually mean. And the way that you do that is by demonstrating those clear channels of communication right now as a teacher. Follow up and follow through. Our third key that school leaders look for in aspiring teacher leaders is a student-centered mindset. Now, when you have the ability to interview for a teacher leader position in your school, and even if you don't have that set up in your school and you have an opportunity to interview for your first school leadership role, you have to make sure that you have a student-centered mindset. It's so easy to get caught up in your interview process that you forget that you are actually supposed to be talking about students. You can get so caught up in the conversation about you and all the skills that you are bringing to the table, but you forget that you are leading students, that you are leading staff, that you are supposed to be a trusted level of support, a trusted person of support. And so within the language of your interview, you need to be talking about students, because school leaders value individuals who are deeply committed to student success and equitable outcomes. Are you explicitly saying these things during your interview process? Are you explicitly having conversations about students and student growth within your team meetings, within your PLCs? Because that's the way that you start to develop that muscle of keeping a student-centered mindset. And although it may seem like this is an obvious thing, again, it's easy to just get caught up in your leadership experience and your leadership practices and your ability to become a better leader that you forget that students are number one. So again, our third key was a student-centered mindset. I know you're enjoying this episode, but I wanted to let you know about my latest book, Beyond the Classroom, helping aspiring school leaders navigate interpersonal and organizational complexities for greater instructional impact. Now, this book is going to help you navigate the learning curve as you transition from being a classroom teacher to a school leader, manage your busy schedule and reclaim your time to effectively be an instructional leader, take a holistic approach towards school leadership, and increase your instructional impact by fostering a school culture of feedback and coaching. So if you are an aspiring school leader looking to be an effective practitioner, head over to my website and grab your copy today. Number 4, capacity to inspire and build relationships. Building trust with colleagues, students, and families is essential for school leadership. So how are you building relationships with families? And are you documenting that right now as a teacher? Because sometimes emails are not going to suffice. Sometimes parents are so busy that they might not be able to answer your email, or there might just be some sort of disconnect in a language barrier, right? So like, how are you accommodating individuals in a way that you are keeping open lines of communication with families, with your colleagues, with students? Because developing strong relationships by consistently showing empathy and follow through is extremely important within your interactions. So what's your capacity to inspire and build relationships? How are you as a teacher right now developing other leaders within your current role? Yes, I completely understand that you might not have enough time to do all the things that we're saying, right? Your capacity and your schedule makes it nearly impossible for you to begin to develop relationships and lead professional development and lead PLCs. I completely understand. But you have to find some sort of avenue to be able to lead within the current things that you're doing to get the experiences that you need to take your career to the next level in terms of where you want to be. There are specific things, and we're going over them now, that school leaders are going to be looking for to hire you to be a team leader, to be a teacher leader, to be an aspiring leader, to actually be an assistant principal, to be a supervisor, to be a director. There are specific things that school leaders are looking for, that district leaders are looking for. And so when it comes to your capacity to inspire and build relationships, you have to be intentional about the relationships that you are building. It takes time. It takes effort. You have to come out of your shell sometimes. But at the end of the day, if you know that your capacity to lead students, lead adults, will ultimately drive the instructional impact that everybody is looking for, then you have to be able to make time for the experiences that you need. So organize team building activities among your grade level. Create opportunities for collaboration, such as planning interdisciplinary projects with other teachers. What can you do within your current role to build your capacity to inspire and develop positive relationships and rapport? And lastly, and I think this is one of the most critical aspects of school leadership, and to be a team leader, to be a teacher leader, it's you need to have a problem-solving orientation. You know, one thing that I often see is a distinction between those who want to become school leaders and those who don't, is the problem-solving orientation. Because when you become a school leader, you are a problem solver. People are going to call on you to help them navigate complex dynamics and solve issues. And so you have to be somebody that is not going to then run to somebody else to try to handle your issues. At some point, you have to figure things out on your own. And that's not to say that if it's a critical situation, you don't bring it to your administrators, you don't bring it to people who actually know how to handle it. But it is to say that at some point, everything cannot just go to the administrators. You have to show and demonstrate that you're able to handle some things on your own. I understand that you just want to go into your classroom and you just want to teach. I get that. But if you want to be a school leader, right? If you want to actually be a school leader, problem solving is an inherent part of the role. And if you don't start building your ability in that muscle of problem solving, then you're going to significantly struggle when it comes to being a team leader or to gaining that first position as a school leader. That's just what it is. School leaders appreciate individuals who approach challenges with solutions rather than complaints. That is critical. Solutions rather than complaints. And here's the thing that I have learned from my mentor. If you are bringing an issue to somebody, have you also developed a solution to the issue, or are you just bringing a complaint? That's critical. That's critical. Are you just bringing an issue? Are you just bringing a complaint? Or are you also saying, hey, here's the issue, but I thought about doing X, Y, and Z. What do you think? That's completely different. That is a problem-solving orientation. So I want you to think about how you can identify a recurring issue at your school, such as the hallway traffic or attendance concerns, and create or propose a clear plan to address it. These are some sure ways that you can start to develop your ability to be a teacher leader or to be a team leader or to be the leader that you want to be and land that first leadership role. I'm telling you, it's that problem-solving orientation is so important. And I want you to start developing that now as a teacher so that you start to feel and understand like, okay, sometimes, so when I become a school leader, sometimes the buck is going to stop with me. I have to be able to figure this out, maybe not by myself, but with a team of individuals. As opposed to just bringing a complaint, I'm being solution oriented. So again, today we went over 5 keys school leaders look for in aspiring teacher leaders. And I just want to reiterate that even if your school or your district does not have the role of teacher leader or team leader, These 5 keys definitely apply to you gaining the experience that you need to transition from being a classroom teacher to a school leader. So we talked about number 1, demonstrated leadership in your current role. 2, strong communication skills. 3, a student-centered mindset. 4, capacity to inspire and build relationships. And 5, a problem-solving orientation. That problem-solving orientation is critical. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to share it with somebody else, hit that like button, and also subscribe. I'd love to continue to have this conversation with you on a weekly basis. I post videos every Sunday at 12 p.m. As always, I hope you have a great week of teaching, leading, and learning. Take care.
I love that you talked about mindset, because mindset is extremely important as you become a school leader. And so that leads us into our second complexity, which is navigating the learning curve, right? Whenever you are promoted to the next level in your career, you will always begin as a novice. So it doesn't matter that you are an effective classroom teacher, you have raving reviews from your students. Becoming a school leader is a different skill set. And so we need to start teaching aspiring school leaders that it takes a level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness to understand just because you got results doesn't mean you're going to get results here. You need to work at this. And so one of the things I constantly think about is the fact that the learning curve can be steep. As a teacher, I'm walking into the building with a set schedule. As a leader, I might have a set schedule if I'm planning properly, but it might immediately become obsolete as soon as I walk in the building. The learning curve that I had to navigate was I'm walking in the building with my bags on. Teachers are firing questions at me. I haven't even made it to my desk yet. How am I navigating that? With being tactful.